You want to know how to make business as unusual? Here is our guideline. There are 4 necessary steps to keep your business on track. First, analyze your business situation and prioritize the risk. Second, define countermeasures and execute them. Third, design the recovery strategy and communicate it to the affected employees. And fourth, integrate the lessons learned to achieve a future-proof business continuity management. Let's start with the first step, analyze. It is key to know what is critical to your business. Therefore, you first have to assess the criticality of your business activities. Enrich them with all relevant information about the required resources such as people and IT. Capture the risk of failing and assess its impact and probability. This is the basis to create the action plan for your task force. Let's come to step 2. Since now, once all information are available, it's time to act. First of all, you need to design possible countermeasures for the most critical activities with the highest risks. This can be completely different things, such as acquiring temporary staff, establishing a home office policy, or introducing an emergency process. Based on that proposals, you can decide on and prioritize the countermeasures that need to be implemented in your organization first. Communicate them to the affected employees and continuously monitor what needs to be done in addition and how the progress of your continuity program looks like. You are now running your business as unusual. But at some point, you need to adapt back. Here you need a recovery strategy. Therefore, it is essential to continuously reassess the actual risk situation. If everything is under control, you might decide to return to the normal business. You can now implement the usual processes, policies and resources, communicate them to the employees and again, monitor the progress to keep on track. Finally, you run your business as usual. And now it's time to focus on learning. In today's world, it's not enough to just overcome a critical situation. It is important to be able to repeat it again and again. This is what makes you, as a successful organization, resilient and what brings us to step 4. Assess the lessons learned and decide on a business continuity strategy. Establish and run a business continuity management and increase your future robustness by continuously digitizing and automating your processes. Now, let's see how this works in ARIS. This is the entry point, your start model. As you can see, we already prepared a use case called Business as Unusual for you. Click it to enter the enterprise process map, which we already structured into management, core and support processes and which is already filled with all relevant business areas we know from our long-term experience. With that, you don't need to start from scratch, but you can directly think about the critical areas of your organization or just add them if you are missing something. I see, for example, purchasing as a critical point. Since we have to establish some home office policies, we expect a number of purchase orders, especially for IT equipment, that enables our employees to work from home. There's a high risk that the purchasing team is not available. I enter that risk to the sidebar and change the color of the symbol to red, which highlights me a critical point in the process landscape. A tip: use a color coding to indicate the criticality of your business function or just place the information next to the object. Then I go to the details. As just mentioned, I see a risk when processing a purchase order. Although most orders can be automatically placed at a supplier, it can be completely blocked when all approvers are absent due to illness. I enter this again as a risk and mark the corresponding object in red. Let me now jump into the lower level. The actual process description, which is expressed as a BPMN model. I see the standard process in which I have to create a purchase order and provide some additional information. Then it should come to the approval. However, I urgently need a solution for the situation that all approvers are sick. Otherwise, employee won't have the possibility to efficiently work from home. I already have that risk available at the approval step. To allow a meaningful prioritization, I first have to assess the risk in terms of impact and probability. At every time, the task force has the possibility to analyze the known process weak points at a glance. The Process Weak Point Analysis report lists all functions with the corresponding information and allows to focus on the most critical problems with the highest risks. Then, it's time to design solution proposals for the prioritized risks. This includes a solution description. Here, the idea is to include an auto-approval of home office policies, a realization category, the solution cost and its horizon. Once done, the business or risk manager will get the business judgment report in which all risks with an empty implementation status are included. One section for each function and one page for each risk with the key data and the proposed solution, plus an area where he can add notes and approve or deny with date and signature. The decision of the manager will be maintained correspondingly. To implement the solution, I go back to the higher level process landscape, select the critical business function and add an assignment with a suffix unusual. Then I just copy and paste the content from the original model and make my adaptations. Here I want to bypass the approval step in case of home office supplies. Then I set the implementation status to realized. At all time, the weak point overview report provides me a clear view on the action plan and the progress. Finally, I remove the assignment to the original purchase order process. Once I've done this, my employees will only see the new process at their new guidance. If the risk is over at some time, I can simply exchange the assigned process again, from the unusual to the usual one. This makes it very easy for me to adapt back to the normal business. But please keep in mind, we are not talking about the mandatory 1, 2, 3, 4 approach. Risk can change over time, as well as a criticality, impact and probability. Therefore, it needs to be considered as a life cycle in which risks are continuously evaluated and reassessed. You don't necessarily have to start with the first step, or maybe you already did that in another way. Finally, ARIS helps to follow a structured approach and achieve resilience with ease. If you need further capabilities for managing your business continuity, please feel free to try ARIS Advanced or ARIS Enterprise. Here, you can, for example, bring new working procedures to your employees in a very easy to understand way, the steps view, plus collaborate and comment. You can easily highlight changes in your instructions and make use of the predefined or even individual approval workflows. Finally, ensure adoption using the extended rollout add-ons with which employees will have to sign that they read and understood the changes made. So don't lose time and start now with ARIS, since we want to help you to keep on track.